Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time it is where you're listening at. This is Maren Costa from Unapologetically Maren, the Cornbread Chronicles. We have a really special guest today. Her name is Joy. She is an amazing lady. I met her off TikTok. She actually runs a TikTok live, and she is what she refers to as a PK, the preacher's kid. She's coming at us today to let us know, how faith is involved in our mental health aspects. So, Joy, I'm going to shoot it to you and introduce yourself to everybody.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited. This is really new to me being in the podcast world, but talking to people and allowing my story to get out there to help others really isn't a new thing. As you mentioned, I do TikTok. What we do on there is more like a grow room. It's helping people to connect. But along the way, people don't want to connect with you or want to know anything about you. They don't want to know that until you show them how much you care. So you
Yeah.
have to share first. So that being said, I guess I'll start a little bit with my story, my uprising, and how I got to where I'm at. It really does play a role in who I am as a person, and so let's start early on. The first 18 years of your life are like the portion that you don't necessarily control, right? So I
Right.
would say almost cut in half because you don't remember the first few years of your life, but almost cut in half all the way up to 11 years old. I was not raised with the Lord. I was not raised in church. I was not raised with faith or any of that. The only thing I was raised with was knowing that we pray before we go to bed. So
Yeah.
my parents didn't have a whole lot of background. Their parents had had some bad experiences in life in the church, and it deterred them from being raised in one. So that being said, we didn't have a whole lot of that, but the occasional Easter or Christmas, we try occasionally to get
Always.
to a church. But let me be clear, I joke on my TikTok lives all the time that Murphy's Law is my life. And every single memory of trying to get to church on an Easter or a Christmas, every single year growing up until 11 years old, every single time we would walk out of our house ready to go in the morning and our car would be stolen, our windows would be broken, our tires would be slashed every single time. Like literally something different would always happen to prevent us from getting there, which to me, from the faith side now in
Yeah.
hindsight, tells me Satan was trying to stop a good thing from happening. Okay.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
that being said, when I turned 11, we moved out of the Bay Area where I currently live. I full circle ended up back in the same city I grew up in. But we ended up moving from here out to a small little town that only had a Walmart. Okay. So we moved out there with houses being built and a Walmart. And when we got there, we didn't have any clue of what we'd be doing there other than we knew it was right for our family to be able to own a house in a smaller town, and my dad would just commute into the Bay Area.
Right.
So when we moved out there, I know that my dad and my mom prayed for a better way of life, to be able to, because we moved away from family, we moved from so we didn't know
Everything.
how life would look. But basically, they decided to pray about, again, to this God that we didn't really have a relationship with, but they just knew and were raised to pray before you go to bed at night. And so they prayed, and we ended up with a flyer on our door in July of 2001. And that flyer was for a church that was just brand new starting in September. And so we got that flyer. My parents took it, put it on the bar in our kitchen right there, and said, maybe we'll go to that. And we waited a couple months. We left that flyer there. We saw it multiple times, and we ended up going to that first initial week of services. It started on a Monday night, and literally that was the week of the World Trade Towers going down. So in 2001, September. So that being said, when that happened, we went the first night and we said, wow. Like I remember sitting behind my parents in the car and watching them as they talked back and forth because we went to this church where there were tons of people. It's a brand new opening. And on the way home, my parents, I'm watching them from the back seat of the car. I'm watching them go back and forth. And my dad's looking at my mom and he's like, those people have something that we're missing. Something about them. And I want it. And my mom is looking at him and she's got tears up in her eyes. And she's like, I know. Why are they so like, there's just a peace and a calm with them. What is going on? What we need that. And they're like, we're coming back tomorrow. And so we did. We came back and the same conversation happened on the way home. I watched them back and forth. There's just and they're talking about, we need to keep coming here. I want what they have. And sure enough, after that, my parents basically made the decision for our family. If the church doors are open, we're going to
Yeah.
be there. So it didn't matter if my family was sick. Literally one parent was
Yeah.
sick, so the other parent would take us.
Take you to
If,
church.
you know, whatever the case may be, rain or shine, we were there if the doors were open. So I love that they made a stance in our life that the standard is set high, and if we
Yeah.
fall short of that, it's okay. But the more we lower the bar, the easier it
Yeah.
is to fall shorter and shorter every single time. Okay. So I'm so thankful that they decided to break free of the certain generational curses that they had with their bad experiences and their parents, things like that. I cannot tell you it was the best decision in my parents' life to make that decision for our family. I will also say that growing up after that, because I was 11 years old at the time, that the first half of my childhood was not raised with the Lord, and I had an older sister who was 8 years older than us. And when we moved here,
Uh-uh.
she decided to move out, so she didn't move to that city with us. She moved out and she stayed living here where I live right now. But that being said, she was given what I call yes to everything. And it doesn't necessarily mean to the every parents say everything, every single thing yes. But what
Yeah.
it means is that I saw her be able to date, to be able to wear makeup, to be able to dye her hair, to go to dances, to do all these different things. And then at
Yeah.
11 years old, coming into preteen, teenage years, we became
Yeah. That's
Christians,
hard.
and my
Mm.
parents didn't know what to do or how to act or what being a Christian really meant. So, in getting to know our pastor and his wife, they became best friends with them. Still to this day, I call them my second set of parents. I just went to their retirement party literally 4 days ago.
Oh,
And
that's
so, my
awesome.
first pastor ever just retired, and it's so bittersweet, but literally, they're like my second set of parents. And so, so thankfully, they recognize the necessity for bonding and being around other fellow Christians, people who are like minded with you to help you not only be better and to sharpen you, which is what the Bible teaches,
Yes.
that iron sharpens iron, right? You can't sharpen a knife with something dull. You need something just as strong as it, at least, to be able to chip away at each other in a better direction or point to sharpen. And so that's what they did. They clung immediately to those stronger than them, because even Einstein said, go be the dumbest person in the room, because you won't be the dumbest person long.
Right.
You'll end up, if you surround yourself with smarter people, bringing yourself up and rising to the occasion and eventually matching them. And you're going to want to now do the same thing for the next generation. Bring in someone else who craves that too, and you'll be able to help them, right? So
Right.
that's what they did. And they saw how my pastor and his wife were raising their kids and how they were raised godly. They are still choosing church and a walk with God for themselves. And they were starting to have babies, and they were such good kids, looking at the way that the world raises their kids and these little kids already. And they're like, man, they're already better than our kids. So, so they saw this and they wanted it for themselves.
Yeah.
So thankfully, so thankful that they took the stance, because who knows if I would have. I don't know
Yeah.
that I would make the same decisions without the
That's what I was going to
upbringing
ask
I
because it
had.
seemed like a really easy decision for your parents. Like they really just
Hmm.
slid in there and they're like, "We want that." How
Yes.
how was that for you in the like as kids? Like were y'all like amped up as well, or it was kind of like, "Whoa, like what's going on here?" Like all of a sudden we're in this church and things are changing. Like was it easier for you or?
So I'm gonna say I always still to this day call myself the guinea pig in Christian parenting.
There you
With
go.
my
I
sister
love it.
getting yes, with her getting yes to everything, I suddenly, with them watching how they raised their kids, they thought, oh, let's imitate that. And
Yeah.
so since they heard that their kids weren't raised going to dances, dating people, wearing makeup, and just being able to be out all the all hours of the night,
Yeah.
I didn't get to either. I was immediately no to everything. And so it's a night and day difference how they raised my older sister, how they raised me. And then when they learned that yes to everything and no to everything doesn't work, my
Yeah.
younger sister and my younger brother got consideration for everything of whether or
They
not it
got the
was right
middle
for them
ground.
as a child. Yep. And I don't like, I can look back at that. And at that time, I remember sitting there thinking, how unfair, how unacceptable. That is not okay. And to a, like, my mom was very quiet about things. I only learned in my more recent years. I only learned in my more recent years how truly involved she was in the decision making. But back then, she was the quiet, um, kind, submissive, understanding, empathetic one, versus my dad
Yeah.
was the logical face of every decision, explaining things away. And I've since apologized to my mom as a parent, knowing now on the parent side how much goes into the worry and concern of, am I doing things right? Right. And so that being said, I remember getting no to everything. And eventually, even though I was getting straight A's in school and salutatorian in a school of 1500, valedictorian, things like
Wow.
that, I was, for all intents and purposes, doing things right. And it
Yeah.
felt like I was being punished occasionally. It felt like, why? So I'm sorry, why are we being homeschooled suddenly a week before high school starts, when I have my teachers, my books, and I know where I'm going, what I'm doing? Why suddenly am I being homeschooled? And it was because a week before my school started, it was all over the news where a gun had been brought to that exact school. And my kids' parents were like,
Oh,
that's a no for us. So I said,
yeah.
okay, that's totally, yeah. And so they tried to make things um, more beneficial to me as the social butterfly that I was. And so they allowed me to start working really early on. They allowed me to start saving, to get a car, to get a phone, to do things that maybe those high schoolers wouldn't, to try to make up for it. And honestly, I made my early years of high school really terrible on my mom. And I have since apologized, because so naive we are as a young teenager, thinking that we know what's best. You really learn as a teenager. I'm sorry, I should say, as a teenager, you think you know
Yeah.
everything, right? We all know that.
About
In your 20s, you
about
learn that you didn't
25.
know a single thing. Yeah, exactly. In your 20s, you learn that you didn't know a thing, but you still
Right.
don't, and you haven't
Right.
yet. And then in your 30s, you start to develop the understanding of maybe why you did what you did, why you function the way you function, what was linked to how I was raised, and why I'm triggered, or why this, that, and the other. And
Right.
then I'm assuming, and I, from what I'm being told, in my 40s, I start actually making adjustments. But by that time, we've already raised our kids, right? Our kids are
Yeah.
set in their ways now. So I'm hoping to change that even sooner, because most people are doomed to repeat the same cycles as their parents and the
Yes.
generations before us, right?
Yep.
So 2026, we've got people who are genuinely just trying to do the best with what they have, to understand, and know that even our parents only did that too. They did the best with what they can, and to give grace really is what we're
Yeah.
trying to. If we're doing what we should be, we're supposed to be giving grace nonstop, because God gives it to us nonstop and
Absolutely.
without limitations. So that being said, after that point, I was raised that specific way in the Christian world. And then, in order to please my parents, I'll be honest, it was just to please them and to keep in
Mhm.
their good graces, because I've made my mistakes in life where I've definitely not pleased my parents or honored them. But in order to step back into a role of feeling like that closeness and like I'm honoring them at 18, I was fully working independently on my own life, working for the US government, had my own apartment, did all that stuff, right, as going into 18 and a half. And at that time, I still, in order to please them, decided to go to college. So I left my job, left this city, and went to the college they had originally been wanting and asking and preparing me for. And so I went off and did that. And now I will tell you right now, one of the best decisions I ever did was that, even if I didn't want it at the time,
At the time.
because
Yeah.
yes, because Bible college grounds you in your faith and surrounds you in a Christian bubble of like minded people who are going to help create habits in you that you don't go to your best friend first when something good, bad, sad, whatever happens. You go to God with it. It
Right.
grounds you in that, because you will naturally, instinctively, as a teenager, who do you go to when you have a problem? When you have something happen, you want to go to your best friend. And
Best
so
friend.
instinctively, you do. You go to them. And those people, thankfully, because they're at a Bible college too, they're like, well, have you prayed about it?
Yeah.
Ooh, you're right. It's
No,
as
I
often
haven't.
as you take. Yeah, exactly. And so it creates good habits. And so while I want that for my kids, I don't want to pressure or push them into it, because if they didn't make that
Right.
decision, they might not go back. like I didn't. I went for that first year. It was hugely beneficial. I know that in hindsight. But I actually went for a year to college, came back to California, and met my husband. So I didn't end up going back to Arizona where I went to college. And so that being said, from there, I met my husband, who at the time was not saved. And while I don't condone it, he got saved early on in the first couple months of us getting to know each other. He got saved, so he was a newer Christian, which does
Yeah.
create aspects of its own in life that are going to be difficulties. The Bible says, "Don't be unequally yoked," which just means make sure that you guys already have the same direction in life. Make sure you guys have the same desires of where you guys are going. You want to please the same quote unquote master, if you will.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if you guys have different things, you're going to be tearing each other in different directions your whole marriage. If I want this and you
Yes,
want this,
absolutely. And
ugh,
how you're going
the
to raise your
difficulty.
kids. Yes. Because that's
Hmm.
one of the things
Yes.
I, when I met my husband, one of the things I always said, I'm definitely not the preacher's kid. I kind of relate more with your older sister. Some with you
Hmm.
too, but I'm the oldest. So I
Yeah.
understand the mistakes were made with me more. My sister didn't get all the yeses. I got all the no's. My sister's the one who got the
Hmm.
yeses. That's where she's a little similar to your story. But I
Yeah.
mean, I grew up Catholic. And
Hmm.
I was the rebel girl, and I was like, "Ah, I don't want, they're so strict. There's so many rules. And like, when I would have kids come spend the night on a Saturday, they had to go with me to church on a Sunday. And if you're not Catholic, a Catholic church is a very difficult, you don't know what you're doing. We always say we're doing aerobics in church because you're like up, down, and they don't know what they're doing. They're just like, Maren, like, where am I at? What am I doing? But I
Yes.
always said I wanted to bring faith into my marriage. And if I had children,
Mhm.
I wanted to raise them in church. So the one thing I always said was I was never going to marry a man that didn't have those same values. And luckily, my husband happened to coincidentally be a Catholic man. We didn't meet in
Amen.
church. We didn't meet with anything to do with our faith background. We met by his brother. But when we found out we were both Catholic and both had strong religious faith, like I'm very
Hmm.
spiritual. Like even when
Hmm.
I was being a rebel and not doing the things I should have been doing, I've always had that heart. I'm very close with God. I'm very close in prayer. I was very rebellious because I had so much going on up here. I didn't really know who I was,
Yeah.
but I always knew I loved the Lord.
Yeah.
But so yes,
Amen.
definitely having that partner that has that same strong faith as you. That's very important. So I'm glad y'all had that.
Absolutely. And we do have that now.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
back then, someone starting off new to the faith is wondering, why do we have to go to every service?
Mhm.
Why do we have to read our Bible at home? My husband, I remember him saying the words early on, and this is no bash to him. It's just a kind
Right.
of a guy thing, I think, as normal. But
Yeah.
he used to say, like, I barely read comics. Like, you want me to the Bible?
You want me to read
And
the
so,
Bible? That big
yeah,
book?
so yeah, and so I needed to have someone that could sharpen me, which he did, but also he had to learn his own walk with the Lord. He had to learn his own. And I think the biggest part in that was actually so my husband's first introduction to his relationship with the Lord was he actually came into our family. He actually met me and we got together in a year when my dad was getting prepared to open up his church. So he came in and immediately became a PK from no walk at all, no church,
Very, I
no
mean, pivotal
background.
point in there. Yeah.
Yes, to suddenly he was the pastor's kid and eyes were on him whether or not he wanted it.
Right.
So it was new. And I had the realization because my dad actually was the pastor for about 6 years. And on the anniversary of our sixth church anniversary, he passed away that night. So my dad was only the pastor for 6 years. Talk about pulling the rug out from underneath all of us. He had no
Mhm.
issues before. He had a heart attack out of nowhere. And so that being said, um, one of the things that I talk about and one of the things I will mention is that it matters who you surround yourself with. It matters the village you have around yourself. It matters
Yeah.
who you allow into your headspace, into your eyes, into what you hear, into everything. It matters,
Mhm.
you guys, because my dad made a point, and I'm so thankful. Like I cannot tell you, my dad made a point that he may not have liked my husband when he first met him, because he's thinking, man, this is a punk. I remember asking him, he's like, man,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
a punk.
I can see that.
He had he had full on spikes in his ears. He had an ear piercing, a
Hmm.
tongue piercing. Like, talk about the average Christian as she grows up wanting to rebel a little bit. I'm not even gonna lie, I
Yeah.
get it. It was me. But that being said, he made the decisions for himself over the first year that he was, a Christian. He made the decision for himself, take those all out. I want to look clean cut. I want to do this, that, and the other. I didn't have to ask him. I never brought it up, never once. He brought it up and started changing. But also, I know that's due to, in part, my father, because I remember having that. My dad and I were extremely close. We were best friends.
Yeah.
And I say that because he made a point of having a relationship with me. And I know that because of my relationship with my dad, my relationship with the Lord mirrors it. And I'm so thankful,
Yeah.
because I've got my earthly father and my heavenly father, right? And so he made a point of having a relationship deeply with every child he has, a deep relationship. We all felt like because we know there's
The
no favorites,
favorite
right?
child.
But we all
Hmm.
felt like the favorite. And if you asked any one of us, we would all agree there's no favorite, but we all, with him in every second, felt like that. Both of our parents had a good way of keeping that dynamic of both, I'm raising you, I'm your parent, but I'm also your friend, I'm here. And so with my
Yes.
dad, he made sure that even after I turned 18, even with the mistakes that I've made, the day I'm getting in trouble and he's like, do you, boo. The next day, he's sitting here emailing me while I'm at work saying, I'm still here for you. I love you. And I'm like, that makes the emotion so
Yeah.
much more invested, but he had that. And so I remember the conversation with him after my husband and I got together, and he said, so, I love our weekly lunches, going to get sushi. We worked across town from each other, where we would literally drive 15 minutes on a random lunch hour. At the same time, we'd
Yeah.
take our lunch. We'd drive 15 minutes to the center of town each. So we spent 15 minutes. We would spend 30 minutes having lunch together and then 15 minutes driving back. So we had our hour lunch break. We would spend it together, right? And so we'd
Oh,
have our little sushi dates and our little whatever, right? Talk everything
yeah.
out, update each other on the week, whatever, right? And I distinctly remember that when I met my husband, he sat me down at one of those dates and he said, I love you, right? I love you. Okay, so this is not, I'm not trying to take away from you, but
Mhm.
you have a man that I now need to help raise in a short amount of time. I didn't get to raise him. I don't know his background. I don't know his upbringing. I don't know him well like I know you. He said, so I'm going to start switching my time with you to my time with him,
Oh,
because I want to teach him in my short time in this world to be a man, to
how to
be a
be a man.
husband, and to be a good dad. And he's also learning how to be a
Love that.
Christian. He goes, so that's what I want to give him. I want to gift you whatever help I can give you in your marriage. He said, so please don't take offense, but the time I spend with you, I'm going to switch to time with him. But I love you.
That's
And I said,
amazing, though.
Ugh. I said, okay, sounds good. I really want this too. And so he started having sushi dates with him. He started having all these different, times, allowing my husband to be around someone who bonded with him. And I will tell you right now, the day that my dad passed away, this man dropped to the ground in tears because he had a
And as much
friend.
pain as you. Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's a bittersweet thing, because when you bond with people, they mean the world to you, which is also why I created even the TikTok family barbecue. And I named it that for that reason, because the literal saying, I wear my heart on my sleeve, is literally meant to be that, like, the first time I'm meeting you and I extend my hand to greet you and to shake your hand and say, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Joy. I'm whoever, the moment that you're doing that, you're extending that love to them right off the bat.
Yeah.
A lot of times the world says you have to earn me. You have to earn my time, my energy, my efforts, my kindness. You have to earn respect. But God doesn't say that. He gives it
Mm-mm.
freely. And so if we're to mirror that, if we're to love like Jesus does, then until or unless you break my peace, I don't need to use the discernment like God says to use, and to cut off my barrier with you, my time with you, my efforts and my energy. I'm supposed to freely give it until or unless you show me that you're going to
Yeah.
interrupt or deter me from where I'm supposed to go and what the Lord has for me.
Right.
And so
And you do that. And just so you know, like,
yes.
because I've told you before, Like when I was starting my journey on TikTok, you were the very first grow room I ever went to, ever. Very first
Amen.
one. And you were the first one that I became a subscriber to back when that was a real thing. Now, it's a little
Yeah.
different. But
Yeah.
I subscribed to you guys and I went to your Discord and y'all were just like so open about, okay, we want to help push you and we want to help encourage you and you've got this. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna do my first live because y'all encouraged me to. And I said I'm not doing my first live until I hit 1,000 followers, which I did in your room and
Woohoo!
did my first live. Yes, I did. And when I went to my first live, your husband came in
Mm,
and he was one of the first ones that threw me a gift in my very first live. And it meant
that's so
so
cool.
much because to me, because I had met y'all were people who were already in the TikTok world and already doing your things. And I looked up to you guys so that he even took the time to come to my baby little live with like 4 people in it meant
Yeah.
so much. Because I mean, you can say you're going to support someone, but doing it is a different thing. And I
Hmm.
just remember that. I remember that very, very clearly. And when I had my little birthday battle not too long after, your husband was in there too. You probably sleeping, but he was in there. And it was just like, okay, they really do
Hmm.
encourage you outside of their room, outside of that family barbecue. They're still there. I mean,
Absolutely.
and that stuck with me this entire time, like this entire journey.
No,
That's why I still keep having my relationship with you and still go to the room, now that I'm back on TikTok. And because y'all really did make a big difference in my journey. And if I wouldn't have done the TikTok journey, I wouldn't be doing the podcast journey. So
it's true.
y'all are,
Yeah.
y'all are a part of that. You didn't even realize it.
Uh, amen.
Definitely.
Like we said, it's a small TikTok world, it's a small Christian world,
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, God brings the right people into our paths to nudge us along in the direction He wants us to go, right? So
absolutely.
we don't know. And that's what, when I recorded with Pete, that's what he was saying. He's like, you may not even know when your simple smile and greeting and warm welcome could be something that someone needed that day. Honestly, I will tell you one of this. So there was once upon a time when my dad was preaching. One day, now our church at 6 years old, we're just a baby, right? So this was probably in the last year that our
Yeah.
church was open before he passed away. But literally, you guys, you expect a church and you when you're thinking of it, you picture 300 people, 400 people. No, our church was 30 to 60 people on any given service because we were a baby. We're a small church, okay?
Yeah.
And we're just
Yeah.
started. So picture the average 30 to 40 people being in these seats. And of those 30 to 40 people, my parents were two of them. My family was, I think at this time, five of them. I think my youngest was born already. And then my sister's family was, I think, four at the time, and my brother. So we were half
Mm.
of them. Okay. So
Yeah.
at this time,
Half the
he
congregation.
Yes, yes. So he was used to small crowds, and he had been praying and studying. Y'all, pastors, guys, they put so much prayer and study into what to pray because you cannot shoot from the hip of the pulpit. You just can't, because people will know fake. People will know whether or not you're walking with the Lord from what comes out and whether or not it hits on what they're dealing with that week. I will tell you right now, every pastor that I know has had a genuine walk with the Lord. Every service that I go to, it doesn't matter what I'm dealing with that week. It can be a night and day difference from what I dealt with last Sunday and this Sunday.
Yeah.
It can be the same
Hmm.
series that they're talking about, and it's hitting on exactly what I'm dealing with every time because that's the Lord. That's how He
Yeah.
works. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm getting something
And
different from the
even if
person
I'm
next
dealing
to
with
me.
something different, I'm feeling it too. Yes. You just
Exactly.
said exactly what I
Exactly.
said. Hmm.
Yes. So that being said, I remember he had a small crowd. He knew he was preaching on a Sunday night. He already knew his message in the morning. He studies again in between services. He's getting ready to preach that Sunday night. And he had a whole service prepared for 3 weeks already. He knew what he was going to teach, preach, whatever. And he felt so uneasy. He usually takes a nap on Sunday. He went into his little study at our house in between services, and he's getting his study stuff out. And he just feels why do I feel so uneasy about this message? And he said, oh, Lord, what is going on? My mom comes in and she's like, are you going to come take a nap? And he's like, I'll be there as soon as I can. And she's like, okay. So she goes, lays down, and he's doing his thing. And And the Lord puts a whole new message on his mind. This message, he's like, Lord, it's a Sunday night. I know these people, they're not dealing with that. These people are not dealing with. The Lord put on his mind to preach about suicide. This man went from talking to his congregation about salvation and finding your peace and whatever whatever he had planned already, to, Lord, I can't talk about suicide. Are you kidding? Like, these people aren't dealing with that right now. This isn't, I know these people. I see them all week long. They tell me they're not, Lord, this is what you want. And so he prayed about it, and he switched his whole message last minute. He said, this is not me. I don't even feel prepared. He goes, but you know what? Because can I be clear, guys? The Lord doesn't call the prepared. He prepares the called. He prepares you if he calls you. You will be prepared when you go live with whatever he asks you to do. Okay. And so he felt unprepared. He said, I just put this together. I don't do that. I take weeks. I get things ready. The Lord works on my heart for weeks. So he gets to this service, and we get the songs going, and we get everything. He hasn't started this message yet. He's still thinking, man, it's only my normal people here. I've only got the 15 people besides my own blood related family. I know these people aren't dealing with it. Lord, he's talking while we're sitting here singing. He's sitting in the chair waiting to go live with this sermon. And he's like, Lord, you can change it. I will change it right now for you if you want me to. And he said, all right, Lord. He steps up there to the pulpit, and he said, he begins the message on suicide. And he's like, I can see. And so literally the door opens in the back door, and two women walk in and sit down in the back seat. And he says, Lord, I've got visitors now. I can't let this heavy message on suicide be the message that these new visitors hop in and hear first. They're going to think I'm crazy and walk right out. Lord, I should be, should I switch? Yeah. Yes. Do I go back to salvation? And I can switch right now, Lord. It's not too late. I only started 2 minutes ago. And he said, nope. The Lord said, follow course. Keep going. So he preached that whole message on suicide not being the answer, that the Lord has plans for everyone, that every single person in this life has a purpose, and you haven't accomplished it yet till the Lord himself takes you home. And he had this whole thing. He preached it. It was an amazing message. Praise the Lord that someone just happened to record this one. I have this message in my dad's own actual I'm so thankful. But literally, you guys, you guys don't understand how much goes into the heart of a pastor until you sit there and it hits you. When the message was over, my dad likes to beeline for these visitors and always meet and greet them and handshake himself and make sure that he himself is greeting those people, right? We got lots of people going and doing it. We got greeters, ushers, whatever, but he wants to make sure he meets and greets these people. So he goes up to them, and the woman, the older woman, you're welcome. Yeah. Yes, exactly. You don't know who thinks that pastor didn't talk to me at all, and so they don't come back. That pastor didn't care about me, even though 27 other people greeted them. Sometimes people just want to know that they're important to the person in charge, and that's great. So he made sure to go talk to them, and the older woman immediately breaks down crying in tears to him, and he's like, did I say something wrong? So it's a woman and her daughter, and the daughter speaks, and she's got tears in her eyes too, and she says, you don't understand how much we needed that message. And he goes, oh, and in his mind, he's like, Lord, that's why it's you and not me up there, right? He's already thinking, okay, how can I ask? Because he goes, I thought that was going to be a message that scared you guys right away. I wanted to, I'll come and apologize. And she goes, no. So the mom speaks up, and she's sobbing as she's telling him. She said, Pastor, I was going to commit suicide this morning. I told my daughter yesterday when she was here in the house, I was at my house. I couldn't bring myself to get up yesterday. My daughter came over, and I told her, sweetheart, I love you, but I'm going tonight. I'm going tonight. When you leave this house, I want to say goodbye. I want to have a meal with you. She said, I'm going tonight. And her daughter said, Mom, please don't. There's so much more that needs to be done. Please don't. And so the daughter tried convincing her, and the mom said, you know what? I love you. But actually, you know what? I would like to go to one more service. I'd like to go to church one more time. So you know what? Why don't you be here in the morning, pick me up? we'll go to a church service. We don't have a church in the area, but she's telling my dad this. But I did tell her, you know what? Actually, I do want to go to one more church service, and then I'll do it tomorrow. But yeah, just be here in the morning, pick me up. The daughter says, if I can't convince you, fine. Fine. And she's been trying that. She's at the point of exhaustion. She's tried. She can't save her. She
Yeah.
can't convince her. She can't be with her 24/7 to stop her. And so she heads home, and she wakes up early, gets over to the house, and her mom cannot get herself out of bed. She's trying. She said, "No, I can't do it. I decided, no, I'm done. Just go, leave me be. Today's the day. I'm not going to go to church." And the daughter says, "You told me you needed one more service. Don't you dare go back on your own word. Be at least a woman of your word till the
Yeah,
day you
take this
go."
swimming.
And so
Yeah.
that's right. And so, so she said, "You know what? We're already late for service. I'll be back tonight. This place has a night service. We're going to go tonight. Don't you dare do anything until I'm back and I get you." And the mom said, "Okay." So that woman went back to pick up her mom, forcefully got her into the car, and got her to that message. They were running a few minutes late. They walked into a message that was already started. So my dad said, "Okay, I'm staying the course." And the mom said, "I was going to go commit suicide when I got home, but your message reminded me."
But now my heart's
Yeah, not your message didn't necessarily just remind me that there's a purpose in life for me still. She said, "But the fact that it's exactly what I'm dealing with in this moment and what I needed when it was my last service, and you didn't preach it this morning, and you even said at the beginning of your service when I sat down, you said this was not the message I was supposed to preach today. I didn't want to. I apologize, guys. If it's heavy and you want to leave, please don't. But the Lord put it on my heart literally 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago." And she said, that was God telling me, "I'm pointing to you. I paid attention to you today. You've been on my mind all day. You are the one I'm talking to today. That message was for you." And that means my God, bigger than all of us, was concerned about me today. And she said, "So I'm not going to do that. And I won't do that. That's not the way I refuse. I'm going to set my mind right now. I'm a woman of my word. I will not go out that way." And my dad just said, "Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord." Because what can you do? It's not
Amen.
you.
What
You
else
don't
can
have
you
this
say or
insight.
do? Yeah.
Exactly. But you don't know how much doing what the Lord says in a single hello, a single smile, a single open of the door, a single greeting can do for people, because your job is just to do what He's leading you to, and to have that faith
Yeah.
that through Him, it's all going to work out. It's not about us in this world, because I can only do what you can do. You can only do what I can do. I don't have any extra insight that anyone else doesn't. And so, because of that, the Lord Himself can turn a mess into a message, as my pastor likes to teach us and remind us, because I feel like I'm a
Mhm. Glad you
hot
said
mess
that.
Jess. But yes,
Yeah.
hot mess Jess over here. My pastor is who so you guys have, if you've been in my live, you know that my pastor comes into my live regularly. My pastor is under Mr. D, in TikTok. So he hops in regularly. This man is my only pastor that I think pastors like he does. And I want to just kind of brag on him a little bit, because at the end of the day, the average church gives off a stigma that we're better than others. And we try not to, but also people are going to come in with their own preconceived ideas as well.
All
And
right. They're holier
the
than thou. Yeah. They think
yes,
they're better than me.
yes, my
They
pastor
must be perfect. They're
often.
churchgoers. They don't have the problems I do.
Right. And let me be clear, every single person is human. Every single person has
Mhm.
problems. Every single person is having issues behind closed doors that no one knows about. But with my faith, what I
Absolutely.
have learned and what the Bible says is that God gives us a peace that passes all understanding. Now, we repeat that stuff like it's a fortune cookie, but let me explain. I had the first foreknowledge, and I repeated that all through my life because I knew that verse. But the first foreknowledge I had of literally noticing in the moment, I just realized I have that peace that passes all understanding. I just realized what God means by that. I just felt it in this moment. Was at a funeral for my previous pastor, my original pastor, at his funeral for his dad. He was conducting it, and he was conducting it even though he wanted to be the one grieving. He wanted to be the one crying. He was there at the pulpit
Yeah.
running the whole funeral, and it was his dad. He lost his dad. And so I remember in that moment, he said, people, tears are good. The body is designed that way. God designed us to let out the tears. He designed us to be able to let out those emotions. It is healthy, it is raw, it is real, and it is okay. And he said, but to question God about his decision making is a whole entirely different thing. And he said, I don't question what the Lord, whose ways are higher than mine, wants for me, knows for me, does for me. He blessed us with the presence of a good father. In his case, he's talking about his own at this moment. He said, he blessed me with a great father for all the years that he did. And for him to take him away, I don't know what's in store. I don't know what's planned. But I know and can trust that him in heaven and me here is still what's best for me. Still what's best for me.
Right.
And now he's built an arsenal for me to feel what others feel when they lose people. He's built in me another tool to be used to relate to those who need someone who understands their loss. Jesus went through so much when he was here on earth to be able to say, when we're sitting here crying out to God, saying, you don't know what I'm dealing with. Jesus says, yes, I do. I've been there. I've had people torture me. I've had people spit in my face. I've had people run nails through my hands. I've had people talk behind my back. I've had people look me in the eyes and betray me 2 seconds later. I've had that. I know everything you're going through. I've had the abuse. I've had the fears, the care. He cried. Did he have to pray to the Father to be heard by him? No. He had the same concerns about having to walk through something he knew was intended for him to set the world free of sin. He had that to the point where he went and prayed to the Lord visibly for us to hear. Lord, let this cup pass from me if you can. If I don't have to go through this, please let it happen that way. But I'll do it if not. I'll do your will, to be an example to us. Well, the pastor that I have now and the people that I surround myself with are so uplifting, so encouraging that literally if I make a mistake in life, and I do, y'all,
Yeah.
I make royal mistakes all the time. But at the end of the
All the
day,
time. We all do.
the people, yes. And so at the end of the day, I will literally be the first one to go immediately into my pastor's office and say, so I did this stupid thing. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I did this stupid
What?
thing. And I know what I did. I hurt so-and-so's feelings, or I hurt my husband's feelings, or I hurt my kids, or I caused this in my kids. I know what I'm doing. Whatever the case is, y'all, the good in my kids is not from me. When people compliment my dad all the time, or me, or my husband, my mom, if they complimented any one of us at any given time, they would say, oh man, your kids are so well behaved. Your kids are so great. You're this, that. And I will tell them every time, it is not me. Any good you see, thank him. Thank the Lord. But the bad you see, you're welcome. And I'm so sorry about that. That's me. That's me and them. Ooh, my bad. Um,
That's me. Sorry. My
so
bad.
yes, yes. So
I'm
I'm
just
working on
human,
getting rid of
just
any
like you.
bad that I caused. Yes. So
Yeah.
so at the end of the day, we have to surround ourselves with the people that we can go to. If you don't have a pastor, first I encourage you to get a church, to get a pastor that you know you can go to. But also, secondly, dig in, build roots, become a part of the church family. Don't automatically assume that they don't want you or that they are different than you. Please dig in, build roots, because the original design that God gave to us was to have a village, okay? We weren't designed to be
Yeah.
islands unto ourselves. We were designed and created to live together, coincide together, to coexist together. But at the end of the day, in the old days, that's what they did. My sister is only 15 minutes from here. If I need a break from my kids, she takes them. And they're what better behaved for
Yeah,
her than me.
absolutely.
And vice versa. If she needs a break, I take the kids. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, we were designed to rub off on each other, to be there for each other, to have someone to lean on, to hash things out, to communicate. Two heads are better than one for a reason, right? And God says the three bound cord is better and stronger than one. And what that means when he says the three cord is you, your spouse, and him. And if you were to
Right.
have a single string is as strong as it is, right? But if you take three of the same string and braid them together, it's so much stronger, right? Now
Right.
you've got
It's
a
even
rope.
stronger.
And so,
Right.
exactly. So we are originally designed to seek out and be with those like-minded and able to sharpen us. It is the way of the world, and people don't realize it because Satan wants to change that. He wants to make you feel like, oh, you can do this on your own. You don't need anybody else. You don't, and can you? Sure, I can
Sure.
tell my husband right
Not
now,
really.
if you left me, if I was gone, can I figure it out? By the grace of God, I would, but I don't want to. Why would I want to put that extra burden
Right.
and struggle on myself? Why would I want to?
Right.
But at the end of the day, our pastor here is probably the biggest ear for everyone here at the church. And somehow God equips him to take it all in because that's what he does. He makes sure that he's there for you. He can relate to you. He can understand you, and he can bring your stuff straight to God. Remind every single person that it's not about the fact that he understands the fact that Jesus does. And so
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for that. He is the biggest supporter. I always call him our number one hype man. And that's why he has his own little sticker that says number one hype man in my room, because he truly is. He
Yes.
doesn't go to TikTok. He doesn't go on TikTok because he wants followers. Who cares? He's got an entire
Right.
congregation that that maybe won't stop following him. But but at the end of the day, he comes in there because he wants me to
He's
succeed in my
supporting you.
endeavors.
Yes.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely. Um,
and that
Go
community,
ahead.
that tribe that you're talking about, like, that's in
Mm-hmm.
all aspects of our life, and it's quality over quantity. Like when you were saying your dad's church was
100%.
so small, but y'all were so strong because there was quality family, quality people there behind, having your back, being there for you, with love and through the Lord. And it's like that even with, like, talking about TikTok, same thing. We always say on TikTok, find your tribe, find your family, find your community, because you
Yep,
can't grow alone. You can't grow alone,
that's
and
right.
it's the same in life. You can't do this alone. I
Absolutely.
mean, can you? You
Yep.
can. It was you and the Lord, but will it be harder? Yes. I mean, it would be easier to have that strong support right behind you that's going to catch you when you fall. Fall 3 times and
Absolutely.
pick yourself back up four. Like, you're going to do that with that
Mm-hmm.
strong tribe behind you. And don't worry about if you have 50,000 behind you, 50 or five or two, as long as what you have
100%.
behind you is, like you said, of in the same mindset of you, has the same, you know, morals and just integrity, and, wants to be there for you and wants to see you succeed. You need that in every aspect of our life, no
Absolutely.
matter where it's from. Yeah, that's so important. And
Absolutely.
like I said,
Yeah.
quality, find the right people, in life, on TikTok,
Yep.
whatever we're talking about, find the ones that want to see you succeed. And they're going to give you your hand when you're trying to fall, you're falling. I'm going to pick you up, not I'm going to
Yeah. Yeah.
laugh at you and then I'm gonna help you in a minute. No, they don't want that
Mm-hmm.
for you. They would fall first. They would rather protect
Yeah.
you and they fall than to see you fall
Yeah.
yourself.
Absolutely.
So
At the
that,
end of the day,
absolutely.
people will reveal themselves in time. And
Absolutely.
if you give people enough leeway, now I'm not saying cut people off the day that they show their true colors, because people also make mistakes, right? um
Right,
if,
right.
if we're looking at this biblically, God says turn the other cheek. So if they slap you, give them the other one. And so he's telling you, give people chances, the same way that he
Yeah,
gives us those chances. But he also then says, turns right around and says, also use discernment, right? Don't judge people, but use discernment. So at some point, if someone is constantly showing you their colors and they're not for you, and they're not excited to watch you rise up with them, then at some point, allow them their own space separately from yours. They don't have to be a part of your world. They can run alongside you. You can cheer them on from afar, but if they're not cheering you on, let them be off in the distance. They don't need to boo you from your earshot. So at the end of the
right.
day, 100%, your tribe matters, your village matters. And that's also why I desire so badly to make sure that my church and the people that rise up with me and want me to, are the people that my kids are raised around, and the people that I go to. If I have a dollar, we have a dollar, right? That's the mentality.
Yes.
Not just me, but us. So
Yeah.
you got to surround yourself with the same people and the same mindset as that. um like I've said before, his ways are higher than ours. Now, we didn't grow up that way. Again, you have to break. Sometimes you have to be the one to break those
Break
stigmas
those.
and those
Mhm.
generational
Even
curses.
generational curses.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. My dad was the first one of his entire family he to break the curse of not going to church, not having a relationship with the Lord. I remember the day he decided to homeschool. His dad looked him in the face. Now, my grandpa was a very strong, independent man. He was actually on TV. He was a news anchor for our local area here, and so up until the day he
Awesome.
passed away, he was a strong personality. Okay, a very strong radio personality, a very strong TV news anchor. And so literally he looked at my dad, grabbed him by the shoulder and poked his chest and said, "Damon, you're doing a disservice. You're doing a disservice to your children by not giving them the opportunity to be in a public school and say no to drugs." And my dad said, "Why would I want, while their brains are still not even fully developed, to put them in a situation of peer pressure to feel the need to even think twice about whether or not I should say yes to this
Gotcha.
person? Why would I want them to have to be in front of somebody to ask, do you want to do some drugs?" Like, why would I? And he said, but people don't understand that. People don't understand that. And so he took it. He said, okay, I understand, but it's my kids, so I'm gonna make that decision. Well, after my dad passed, we had to now make our decision for ourselves. Are we going to have our kids in church?
That's
Are we going
me.
to homeschool? Are we going to do XYZ, all these things for ourselves? And that's how I know that my dad worked so overtime in his life to bond with us, is because we're now making the same decisions that I even questioned while he was making them with me. I told my dad, I
Right.
remember the day I told him, "Dad, I am not homeschooling my kids. Not me. Not me." And then as my kids got older and older, I ate my words for sure. I remember looking at him, and someone asked me, "Well, so where's your kids going to school?" And I said, "What are you talking about? My kid's only 3 going on 4." And they're like, "Yeah, you're supposed to decide right now where they're going to be signed up and enrolled in like 6 to 8 months from now." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" And so I had to sit down and think about it. He was there when they asked me, and I was like, "They're not being homeschooled." And then I sat there praying about it for another month or two, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't want my kids in public school. I want to be their biggest influence. I do not want
Yeah.
my kids learning cuss words in kindergarten," because that's what they're learning right now, guys. They're cuss words in kindergarten. And if they're not learning them at school, they're here already hearing them at home, and they're the ones bringing it to school. Either way,
Right.
I don't want my kids there. And so I looked at my dad about 2 months later. I went back to him and I said, "Dad," he goes, "Yes." I said,
I already know what you're
"I'm
gonna
going to
say.
homeschool my kids." Yep. I said, "I'm going to homeschool my kids." He said, "Awesome. What made you decide that?" No judgment. No, I told you. Nope. He just said,
Yeah.
"Awesome. What made you decide that?" And I said, "You guys knew better. I didn't. And I 100% in having to actually put my mind to the decision I'm making and think, I don't want to drop my kids off in the morning and wonder what they learned today when I pick them up." When I thought that,
Yeah.
I said, I've got to home. There's the only way for me is I'm homeschooling. Now that may not be for everybody. That there's no judgment to homeschool, to non-homeschool,
Right.
to private school, to public school. There's no judgment to anything. But at the end of the day, it was what worked for me. It was my decision. And so when I went that direction, my dad just said, "Good job. That's it. Just encouragement. That's all that mattered." And so,
Yeah.
so it really does. We we want things to be easy in life, and homeschool definitely goes against that. I will tell you right now, it goes against that. You would almost think, what is it? Is it masochist when you like you inflict the
Oh,
own pain on
yeah.
yourself, like you want it
Message.
almost? Is it masochism or something like that? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so I feel all the time like I'm a glutton for punishment, because it is hard. Now, homeschool is hard,
Yeah.
public school's hard, private school's hard, everything's hard. You just have
Choose
to
your
choose your
hard.
hard in life, guys. Yes,
Yeah.
choose your hard. Showing up, not showing up, working, being unemployed, everything is hard. It is about choosing your hard, because no matter what, everyone has it hard. But I will tell you that we all want mountains to move for us. But the Lord is saying,
Yep.
I want you to climb. I don't
Yeah.
want you to have that mountain moved out of the way. A caterpillar does not gain its wings by going into the cocoon and someone breaking that cocoon open. Did you know that literally, if you open that cocoon before it's done, it doesn't have wings, and it didn't build them, and they actually only build them. I take it back. If you open that chrysalis, that cocoon, right before they would have already come out of it, they're going to have the wings. But did you know that they have no muscles in those wings to fly?
I did
If
not.
I break it the day
What?
before it would have, If I break open that cocoon the day before, it already would have. Or if I see it start to crack and I don't allow it to create those muscles, if I break it open for it, it will never fly,
Right.
because its job is to go through breaking it open itself, and it builds the muscles and the wings for it to lift its body. It's literally got to go through the trials in order to
Yeah,
have the
your strength is
blessings.
found in your
So
struggle.
God turns. Yes, absolutely. So whatever
Hmm.
people are going through, they sit here and they wonder, why me? But at the end of the day, you have so much ready and prepared for you at the other side of that problem. But can I tell you, when something is right here, I'm trying to make sure I don't use a paper that you guys are going to sit there and wonder. So when a problem is right here in front of your face, you can't see around it. You can't see around it. The problem has to
Right.
be moved further back, and you need to take a step back and take a look at it from God's eyes and say, you know what? I can go around this, no problem. No problem. Because when we look at things through God's eyes and not our human sight, we can succeed. Because at the end of the day, the world looks at it in terms of, I can't see the people cheering me on over there. I can't see the people that are there for me over there. I can't see the people
Right.
praying for me. I can't see the people wanting to help, because the problem is so big, because I am allowing myself to be consumed with it. And all you
You're
have to
blinded.
do is take a step back. Yes, take a step back. Look at it through someone else's eyes, and preferably the Lord's, because He's going to see the beautiful you that you are, the one, the perfectly, fearfully, wonderfully made human being that you are, that has Him on your side. He's trying to fight that battle. That poem that everybody in the world likes to talk about, the footprints in the sand. And when you only saw one
Hmm.
set of footprints, the person says, Lord, where were you during my hardest times? I only saw one set of footprints. Why weren't you walking with me? And the Lord
Because I
says,
carried you.
Hun, I was carrying you. Those were my
I was
footprints, not yours.
carrying you.
I carried you through those
Hmm.
struggles. Yeah. So we just have to kind of be reminded at all times. Um, and that's why it matters to be surrounded with those people, because it's going to be hard to pull yourself out of a situation. That's why we seek the help. That's why we need the help. That's why God brings the help. If we're asking, we will receive it. We just have to be asking the one who gives it all, not the
Right.
people that don't want us to succeed, not the people who aren't cheering us on. Don't go to the people who don't care, or you're going to keep feeling more
Right.
of people don't care. You got to
Yeah.
go to where it matters, to the quality people, and you'll be able to get and face anything that hits you, anything that comes your way. That's just how the Lord works. So yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a blessing in disguise. But
Absolutely.
that being
Absolutely.
said,
You
yeah,
should have been a
that
little
being
preacher
said,
yourself, girl.
that's kind of my life story. what
I
what
said
did
you
you
should be
say?
preaching yourself, girl. I said I can hear you preaching
I
yourself.
minister to the women and the I minister to the women and the children and the few men that come in my TikToks. But I consider that for sure one of my ministries. So
It is.
I'm not a
Absolutely. I'm
preacher,
glad
but
you
I am
said
for
that.
sure.
Absolutely. We all have our reasons for doing the things that we do when it involves other people. And I do think that when it comes to your TikTok and different things like that, you are there for a reason and you do care.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'll tell you this. I mean, I follow almost 10,000 people. You're the only one
Hmm.
I know that says, okay, you guys, it's time. I'm getting off live. Send me a DM on what you want me to post on your page or repost or what you. Nobody says that. Now, I'm not saying that some of them
Hmm.
don't go and interact with people and try to build their things up for them. Some do. But you do that for anyone, no questions asked. Anyone that was here tonight, if you want me to do something on your page, just let me know. And usually live hosts, especially
Yep.
live hosts
Yep.
of decent sized rooms, they don't say or do that. You do. And it's a
Hmm.
given. You know you're going to say it. You do it
Yeah.
every single day
Yep.
because you care, because you know that if
Yep.
they grow, you grow together. And you honestly, truly want to see people grow and prosper and, do good for themselves.
Yes.
Like you do lift that hand up. I mean, there's
Yeah.
no, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, really, if it wasn't for you, because you're the one who introduced me to Pete, who
No.
gave me the confidence to say, you can do this.
And
Don't just be on my show. You're trying to
yeah.
promote your own. Why aren't you already doing it? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of sort of doing it, but not, he's like, jump on that wagon now while you have that fire in your heart and your soul and do it. He said, if you've had a message, start spreading it now. Don't wait. I'm like, because I'm like, oh, I'm dealing with some
Mm-hmm.
health issues right now. I'm dealing with this right now. I just moved and I've got this, and I've got some health like problems going on. He's like, so what? Those are not going to go away, and if they
Yep.
do, it may take
Yep.
time. You have to do it now. When the Lord's calling you or
Yep.
whatever is pulling on your heart, whatever higher power
Mhm.
that whatever, if you're being tugged to do something,
Yeah.
do it. You're not being, unless what you're being pulled to do
Yeah.
seems really bad, then question yourself. Maybe maybe you're, but otherwise,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
listen to your heart. It's usually, when I say listen to your heart, it's usually God talking to you. You know what when you
Well,
really feel pulled to something.
well,
Don't be scared. There's a
yeah.
reason for
Well,
it. You're meant to do it. Help somebody, or someone needs to
absolutely.
hear your
I,
story. I mean, just don't be scared. Take a leap.
mhm. Absolutely. Take a leap for sure. I know that's the
Yeah.
I'm jokingly saying this, not correcting you only because it's more like a joke, but there's genuine truth to it. It's a very Disney
Yeah.
philosophy to say follow your heart versus the
Mm-hmm.
Bible will literally tell you don't follow your heart. It's deceitfully wicked above all things. But at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, my it's a very Disney thing to say follow your heart, right? The Lord
Yeah.
speaks even in silences. He speaks even in
Mm-hmm.
silences. So he works through your spirit, letting you know, feeling what's right and what's wrong. It's not about the heart, even though that's where we say all emotions come from, right? We know that the brain
Right.
actually does the function, the heart doesn't. But the point is, um, what you're saying, the point is, if the Lord stirs you in that moment to do something, act now. Because we've all heard the Bible stories of Jonah and the whale, right? He was
Mm-hmm.
told, go do this. And then he fought it and went the exact opposite direction of the city God told him to go. And so because of it,
Mm-hmm.
he ended up on a boat while he brought a storm. Because if you don't heed the Lord's will for you in the moment, he has to bring trials that will help get you back on track. Because if you're in a spaceship heading back to Earth, if you're even 1 degree off coming back to where you're supposed to land, you miss the earth entirely, entirely, thousands of miles off. Because if you start ignoring the Lord in the small things, you will end up on a path so far off from all the blessings he had from you. So, yeah, exactly like that. Pete telling you, go for it now. Doesn't matter if you have health problems, doesn't matter if you're moving, doesn't matter if you're dealing with things, doesn't matter, whatever. We're all going to be
Yeah.
doing that all the time. There's no good time to get married. There's no good time to have a baby.
No.
There's no good time to start a new job. There's no good time, guys. At the end of the day, you just got to do it when you know it is
Yeah.
suddenly a burden for you to do, to get done, and to get going. And so movement in any direction is good, because as long as you're moving, God can get you in the right
Yeah.
direction. He will send those
Exactly.
signs to tell you over here, not too far, back this way. So yeah, I'm glad that you did, because you and even Pete, a lot of people do things like this where they're reaching into the mental health awareness aspect of life, where they're reaching out to people, they're trying to put good into the world, but by the same double-edged sword, those same people who need it are oftentimes, majority, not seeking where they need to go to get that help, right?
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you weren't reaching out to all the different guests and building relationships and asking people to come on here, you now wouldn't reach the people that I could reach. You coming in and
That's
being
my,
willing
yeah.
to bond and to say, you know what, let's collab on this, is now going to reach more people than you were going to. You and Pete getting together, you're now reaching his audiences with things that you're learning that he cannot repeat because it's not his experience. Same thing, his audience
Right.
with you, and so on and so forth. But literally, the Lord has such big plans, but he needs people to be willing in the moment to say, whether or not I want to, let's do it. Let's go. You got me, Lord. I got
Absolutely.
you. And so I appreciate you doing that, because it's gonna make so many waves. I think it's just incredible what
Yeah.
you guys do, and the fact that you want so badly to be a benefit to this world and to the people that you meet, and those some you'll never meet. They may just
Right.
there's going to be people that listen to every episode that you put
We'll
out
never
into the
know
world
them.
and never
Yeah.
contact you. But
Right.
exactly. But they will be enriched in life because of the words or the guests that you bring on here and the questions you ask. Getting deep
Yeah.
into something, guys, that is so little talked about is so important. It's so crucial. You have to bring up the conversations that no one's talking about. So I appreciate all that you're
And even
doing.
if it's not your same direction, which I'm very, religious and spiritual too, but let's say I wasn't. I mean, heck, let's say I'm atheist, whatever.
Mhm.
I felt that's why this is the direction I wanted you to go because this is what I felt pulled from you. That's why I told you from the get go. You didn't say you
Mhm.
wanted to talk about faith. I told you this is the direction I feel for you. Take it how you want and whatever
Yeah.
angle you want to do, but I want the faith aspect because that's what I felt from you. And let you speak, even if I wasn't someone filled with faith, even well now I'm still getting to hear what you have to say too. I'm getting the opportunity to be filled
Mhm.
with what you're having to say and to be soaked
Mhm.
in into the word. So you never know who you're going to touch. And when you're doing something like a podcast or your
Mhm.
TikTok live, whatever that what when you're involved in the public, I just want words out there. I just want people who are doing the right thing, who I feel really have something to say, and yes, I'm
Mhm.
kind of keep it
Yeah.
into the same realm with mental health and with different things, but this fell right in it. And this is
Mhm.
what I felt
Yeah.
pulled for you to say. That's why I said I wanted you to lead it. I wanted you to be the main one that was speaking because I felt there were things that you needed to say that needed to be heard. And you did. You did amazing.
Amen.
And you do have a
God
calling.
is good.
You
Whatever
can tell
said
you're a
today.
preacher's daughter. You preach like a preacher's daughter. You've got the power and the passion. I can feel it in your voice and just in your heart. You keep on the road that you're doing and you're gonna make a lot of changes too, lady. But that's because you're doing what you feel pulled to
Amen.
do, what the
The
Lord's
Lord
telling you to
knows.
do, what you've been taught. We'll
Yep.
never know.
Yep.
But we're gonna
God has been
see.
very good. He reveals everything in time.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I
Well,
am so glad you said
yeah.
yes to come on the show. And I'm so glad that, you introduced me to Pete. Like, you've been a very pivotal moment in the turn of what I'm trying to do. And I really do appreciate it. And I can't wait to get the full episode release and let everyone hear everything that you have to say. And we may have to bring you back again and do
Amen.
it. Do a turn, do a turn. Well, maybe we'll do the TikTok thing next time and see what's changed in the next couple of months, where
Right.
you're at. Give us a little update. But
Absolutely.
I'm going to go ahead
Anytime.
and wrap it up. We've been going for an hour. It's been amazing. So amazing. And you guys, if you do not follow her on TikTok, go ahead and let them know what your name is on TikTok so they can follow you.
I am Joy's Family Barbecue on TikTok as well as the new app Epic. Same exact name. It's Joy's Family BBQ, no spaces.
And if they just so happen to live in your area, what church do you belong to? Just in case they want to find a church home.
They'll have to reach out to me directly because I do live on the property and I mention
Oh,
that at times. So if I announce what church it is, then everyone will know where I live. So
I
I'm
didn't think
gonna,
about that.
I'll keep that to where if you, yeah, I
So
try to keep that
that's your
one a little
church. We're not
closer
going
to
to
the
say that.
pocket.
I didn't even think
Um,
about that.
yeah,
We're
yes,
not
so
going to
I
find
keep it
out
a
where
little
she
closer to
works.
the
I mean,
pocket.
where she
But
goes to
those
church.
that, those, right? Right. But I have many times people have reached out asking for a church in their area, wanting to gain their own relationship with the Lord. And I do help them, no matter what state they're in, find a good church that I
Yeah,
know of in that area. So if you are looking for a church, you don't have to be in my area. Message me and I will be happy to help you find one. Yeah.
absolutely. That's amazing. Well, we are going to cut things short, you guys, and I'm so glad to everyone that's been listening. And like Pete would say, how's your mental health today? So everyone, we're just going to do our best every day to try to make an impact on the world and to just try to be the best versions of ourselves that we can. And I will see all of you the next time. Bye bye.